Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Amy, and today we're making a feast that's guaranteed to make you the player of the year on your fantasy football league, and all your friends are going to be begging you to bring any of these to the game day party. Today we're making potato skins, we're making mini bacon and grilled cheese sandwiches with homemade bread, and a little twist on an absolute tailgating classic, pigs in a blanket. Are you ready for some football? Well, we're gonna need a feast to snack on, so let's get cooking. We're starting with our mini grilled cheese sandwiches, but to make these, we need a baguette. Now, you can buy a big baguette at the store, and these little bacony bites of cheese-filled heaven become even more fast and easy. Or, you can make this amazing baguette bread at home. It takes about 10, maybe 15 minutes of actual work, and then a whole bunch of just sitting around time. We're going to start our bread dough the night before we do all this cooking. To a large bowl, add 6 cups of all-purpose or bread flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of instant yeast, and 3 whole cups of warm water between 105 to 110 Fahrenheit. Stir this all up until everything comes together, but monitor your dough's wetness as you stir. You very likely will need to add more flour to get the right consistency, up to about another cup, which is about how much I needed to add. Keep in mind, this is a pretty soft and sticky dough the whole way through until baking it, but it shouldn't be closer to soup than dough. Cover this up with a lid or some oil sprayed plastic wrap and pop it in the fridge for anywhere from 12 to 20 hours. The next day, the dough should look like this, and it will be bubbly and really sticky and not very easy to work with right in the bowl. Flour a work surface pretty generously and scrape the dough out. You can either flour your hands really well or wet them to keep the dough from sticking, and then form the dough into a dough round and divide it into 2 to 4 pieces. I went with 2, and I had some very large, fat baguettes, which ended up working perfectly for these sandwiches, so it was okay. Form each dough chunk into a baguette by rolling and gently stretching it into like a tube. Make sure to pinch the bottom and the edges of the dough so your baguette has that signature baguette type of shape, and then place them on a parchment-lined baking sheet. Using a bread lom or a very sharp knife or a razor blade, make 3 to 5 diagonal scores in the dough, and make sure these are decent scores, like not just little surface nicks. Sprinkle a little flour on top, cover them with plastic wrap, and make sure you cover it pretty loosely because this is really soft dough. And then set them to the side to rise for 1 to 2 hours. Now about 15 to 20 minutes before that bread is ready, arrange your oven racks with one at the very bottom and one in the middle. Add a few cups of water to a deep baking pan and place the pan on the bottom rack. This will create a steamy environment in the oven. This is going to help the bread to expand fully, which we call oven spring, and also gives our bread a nice, thin, crispy, and glossy crust. Preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and when the oven's ready, remove the plastic wrap from the loaves and place them on that middle rack. After 10 minutes, remove the pan with the water, but be really careful with that. And then bake the bread for 30 more minutes or until it's nice and golden and reads 200 degrees Fahrenheit if you stick it with a thermometer. Set the baguettes on wire racks, and you want to let these cool completely before we slice into them. While the bread is cooling, let's get our bacon ready. Bake it in the oven at 400 for about 15 to 20 minutes or until your favorite crispiness, and it'll be perfect every time. Plus, you can save the bacon grease, which is pretty much liquid gold, for potatoes, sauteing mushrooms or eggs or cornbread. You can even use it like a butter spread on toast or on an English muffin, which sounds weird, but trust me, toast is amazing with a thin little bit of smoky bacon fat, and it's dairy-free. Okay, when the bread is cool, turn one big baguette from this to this and grab your cheese. I'm using a little snack pack I picked up at the grocery store because it'll make a really cool variety of grilled cheeses. Cut our bacon into smaller squares about the size of the bread slices and butter one side of each slice for however many sandwiches you want to make. Then just grab a pan and put everything together. One slice in the pan, butter side down, then a slice of cheese, add 2 pieces of bacon, another slice of cheese on top, second slice of bread, butter side up. Flip it over when the bottom is nice and crispy and browned, and do the same thing on the other side. When they're all made, cut them in half because our baguettes were pretty big, and you'll end up having 2 little mini grilled cheese and bacon sandwiches. Aren't these just spectacular? These are so cool. All right, next in our feast lineup is our classic, pigs in a blanket, but with a little twist. And this one is all about the prep, so make sure to get your ingredients ready before you start putting these things together. We need 1 egg all whisked up for a wash, 1 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese, and 1 package of cheddar little smokies that we've patted dry so they don't add too much moisture to the puff pastry. Get all of this ready and waiting before pulling the puff pastry out of the fridge, because puff pastry is way easier to work with when it's really cold. Also, have 2 parchment lined baking sheets ready to go. Alright, to put these together, open 1 puff pastry sheet, lay it nice and flat. Spread that 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese evenly all over it and make sure to get it the whole way out to the edges. Then open the second pastry sheet and center that evenly on top of the other so the edges match. Then grab a rolling pin and we're going to roll these together so they pretty much almost fuse and they sandwich that cheese in there really, really well. You won't make the stack that much bigger than it already is. We're really just compressing this down to keep the cheese in. Now grab a ruler. We need to cut this into 2-inch squares. I just made little marks on the dough and then used my rocker pizza cutter to make sure my lines were straight. You can also use like a little roly pizza cutter or even just a knife. Here we have our grid. Now we grab a little smoky and put it diagonally in the middle of a square. Brush a tiny little bit of the egg wash on one corner. Take the corner opposite the egg wash and fold it over the little smoky and then fold the egg corner on top. Pinch the top of that pastry together really, really well so it stays together as it bakes. And there's our little pig in a blanket. Then just keep doing this until you run out of little smokies. Now you'll see here that I do have more pastry than smokies, but this ends up just being a nice little bonus and we're definitely going to use these. Grab a little bit of garlic powder and sprinkle a little bit on each of the leftover pastry pieces. Then just roll them up in tubes or little crescent type triangles, however you like them, and drop them on the second baking sheet. These will be our bonus little garlic cheesy pastry bites. You'll still have a lot of egg left, so brush that on all of the pigs in a blanket and our extra little pastry bites. You can also season the pigs in the blanket after the egg wash. I'm sprinkling some everything bagel seasoning on a few, and these turned out great. Bake these at 400 Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes or until they're nice and golden brown, and you end up with the tastiest little snacks ever. Not to mention, aren't these just the most adorably cute little things? Okay, last we're gonna make our potato skins, which is one of my favorite game day snacks ever. They also get bacon, and I just cooked that right alongside the bacon for the sandwiches, so that step's already done. We need 4 large russet potatoes, and you want to make sure to wash these really, really well since we're going to be eating these outer skins. Dry them well with a clean kitchen towel or some paper towels. We don't want them to be wet because we want them to get nice and crispy in the oven, not steamed because we had too much moisture on the skins. Then rub them all over with olive oil and put them on a foil-lined baking sheet. We're going to sprinkle them with some coarse salt and bake them at 400 Fahrenheit for 1 hour. When they're done, pull them out of the oven and then let them cool for a few minutes until you can handle them without burning your fingers. When they're cool enough to handle, slice each potato in half lengthwise and gently scoop out the potato flesh with a spoon. Don't throw the flesh away though, because a little salt, butter, and milk, and you have tasty homemade mashed potatoes. Just throw it in a container, save it for dinner tomorrow, it'll be fine. Leave about a 1/4 inch of potato attached to the skins. We're essentially just making little boats like this. Brush these with butter on both sides, so you can be pretty generous with the butter here, because I don't think it's really possible to have too much butter with potatoes. Anyway, when both sides are well coated in butter, flip the potatoes both side up again, and pop them back in the oven for about 10 minutes to crisp up. Pull them out, flip them over so they're skin side up, and bake them again for 5 minutes. When they come out, we will have perfect crispy potato skins, ready to become the beautiful little cheese and bacon boats that they are. Add shredded cheddar to each one, or whatever cheese is your favorite, because these would be absolutely amazing with pepper jack too. Then top them with some chopped up crispy bacon and pop these back in the oven one last time for about 3 minutes, just until the cheese is all melty and fabulous. Top them with some sour cream, some green onions, and you have perfect potato skins. We added a couple cold things just to round everything out. Some carrot sticks with ranch dip and some Granny Smith apple slices with an out of this world apple dip that is now my absolute favorite thing ever, even though it's one of the easiest dips I've ever made. So here's a little bonus recipe that just might make you go broke buying cream cheese. We need 1 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and a half a cup of lightly packed brown sugar. Stir it up, and you have apple dip. The easiest dip ever, and in truth, this is quite possibly the best dip ever invented. It's creamy, it's tangy, it's sweet, but it's not too sweet. Yeah, just don't eat the whole thing at once, because if you're anything like me, you're gonna forget that there is an entire block of cream cheese in there. But yeah, this is now my favorite food in the world until I find a new favorite food. Just saying. And here's our feast. This has everything. The grilled cheese sandwiches are crispy and cheesy. They're smoky from the bacon. I still think the pigs in a blanket are just the cutest little things, and they taste amazing with the cheese added. They're also really, really good dipped in honey mustard. Those little extra cheesy garlic puffs are just divine, and I think I might just make these by themselves sometimes just for a random snack. The potato skins are nice and crispy, are perfect little cheesy bacon boats. And the cold additions, they just round that all out for a tailgating feast that has it all. Just make sure to share the apple dip if you can convince yourself to. It'll be really hard, but I believe in you. Pair any of these up with some chips and dip from last week's video, and you'll be everyone's MVP. Thank you so much for watching this video. I so loved making this feast, and everything turned out just beautifully. It was all so good. It's really difficult to say if any one dish was better than the others. They're all so tasty. Please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if you enjoyed making this tailgating feast with me. Stay tuned next week because it's officially October, and that means Halloween, my favorite time of year. We're going to be brewing up some classic sweets and treats, as well as making new favorites and some twists. And don't forget, come and hang out with me on Sundays for comforting, cozy, home-cooked meals. I hope you have a fabulous week, and I'll see you next Wednesday to start our Halloween adventure. Bye!